Emily had been on Sodor for almost a year. Her popularity was growing, as she was Sodor's first female steam engine. The only other engine was Lady, and she wasn't an official Sodor engine. One day, she was puffing through Henry's forest. Suddenly, a tree branch broke and hit her cab. "Ow!" she cried. "I think I broke something." Her driver stopped her at the next signal box. Her fireman told the signalman what had happened, while the driver inspected Emily. He was glad he had. "Your whistle's come off," he said. "You can't pull the train anymore." Emily was uncoupled from her train and placed on a siding out of the way. Then Edward came and took her train. Later, Henry came to take Emily to the repair yard. He wasn't happy with the extra work, but he felt sorry for Emily. "Besides," he thought, "Emily helped me that one time when my tubes were leaking." It wasn't long before Emily had a new whistle. However, when she blew it, she realized it sounded different from her old one. Henry was in the yard. "Bust my buffers!" he exclaimed. "Your whistle sounds just like mine!" And he blew his whistle. Emily blew hers again and realized he was right. "I hope that doesn't cause any trouble," she said. Unfortunately, it did cause trouble. At first, people heard Emily whistle and thought she was Henry. Then, when people heard the whistle, they didn't know whether it was Emily or Henry, but for a while, nothing serious happened. Then, one winter, Henry was to take a goods train down the main line, while Emily took a passenger train down Edward's branch line. Both trains were to start at Knapford, and Henry was to go first, but Henry had trouble shunting the trucks. The rails were icy, and the trucks were being troublesome. Scruffy was there, and he in particular was causing trouble, encouraging the other trucks to misbehave. So by the time Henry was finished shunting, Emily was about to be late, so she had to go first. Now control at Knapford Station should have alerted the signalman at Wellsworth, especially after an incident that had happened to Gordon and Edward. But it had been so long that they had become careless and forgot. At Wellsworth, the snow made it hard for the signalman to see. "No problem," he thought. "I know all the engine's whistles." And indeed he did, but it wouldn't help here, since Emily and Henry had the same whistles. And what happened to Edward and Gordon happened again. Emily was sent down the main line. And Henry went down the branch line. When Scruffy realized what had happened, he rallied the trucks again. "On! On!" he called, and the other trucks took up the cry and pushed Henry. The weight of the trucks and the iciness of the rails caused the train to pick up speed. At last, about halfway down the line, Henry stopped on a bridge. "An engine your size isn't supposed to be on this line," said his driver. Suddenly, they heard a creak. Then they all remembered why Henry wasn't allowed to be on the branch lines. The bridges, in addition to the tracks, aren't as strong as those on the main line. "Back, Henry!" cried the driver. Henry tried, but the trucks, even now, were still playing tricks, pushing against Henry. "If you don't cut that out right now," Henry called out, "I'll make sure Edward, Donald, Douglas, and Oliver all deal with you." The trucks gasped. No truck dared mess with Edward. Douglas had destroyed the spiteful brake van, and Donald had threatened the brake van beforehand, and Oliver had pulled apart Scruffy, though it was mostly because Scruffy was poorly made. "I shouldn't be alive after what Oliver did to me," cried Scruffy. "Pull back!" So not only did the trucks not push against Henry, they helped him, and Henry managed to get off the bridge just before it collapsed. So Topham Hatt was cross about the broken bridge. Now Edward's line, which led to Brandon Docks, would have to close temporarily. "And this accident may have been prevented if Emily and Henry had different whistles," he said, but he was glad that no one was hurt. Emily volunteered to have her whistle changed. Her previous whistle was now only made for narrow gauge, but they did find a whistle unique from all the other engines. When Emily blew her whistle in the yard this time, James was there. "Don't feel bad about how many times your whistle's been changed," he said. "I once had a different whistle, and so did Henry, but we both went back to our old whistles, and before I came to Sodor, I had a 3-chime whistle." Emily smiled. She hoped she'd never have to have her whistle changed again.